I'll ask each director to acknowledge their presence, please. Walt Lashevsky, present. Bob Lilac.
Present.
Mindy Reynolds.
Present.
Steve Lawrence.
Here.
Jim Beers. Present. Okay, we do have a quorum. Moving on to item number 2. Will you kindly stand and join me? We pledge allegiance to the United States flag and the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge the flag, pledge allegiance to the United States, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. Anybody signed up for comments from the public today? All right. Item number 4, consider an act on request for adjustments. Do we have any adjustments today? Nothing. Okay. Move on to consent agenda. Does any director have any items on the consent agenda you'd like to discuss or remove? All right, can I get a motion to accept the consent
So moved.
agenda? Do I have a second? Second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Regular agenda, item 10. The regular monthly report from SJRA. Mr. Meeks, good morning.
Good morning. I have nothing to add to the report, but be happy to answer any questions you have about the Windsor GRP.
Any update on Conroe versus SJRA?
Nothing I can state. I do know motions have been made, but actions have been moved forward. Don't want to lead to any certain words, but yeah, it's progressing. How about that?
Been progressing for the last several years.
That is true.
I see one of your competitors was sold, when Quadvest was sold.
That happened last week, I believe. So I know the legal side's looking at that. That's actually where Ed is right now, having a discussion about that. So
An interesting move. All right, item number 11, consider an act on the draft of the budget, SJRA budget. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. So as y'all know from the trustees meeting, we had 2 changes that came through our budget. I'm gonna go through the highlights real quick unless y'all want the full presentation, then I'm happy to give that as well. Please let me know. And then I'll ask for y'all's vote today to direct your trustee at the August meeting to approve our budget. So the 2 highlights of the changes that happened in our budget is the GRP rate is going down another penny. So it's 5 cents total going down from last year's rate. So the new rate would be $2.92. And then the second change is to our project plan. We had one project that TWDB approved to get paid out of our 2017 bonds after the project plan was finished and published out to everyone. So that change is now in our budget as well to move that project to the bond out of the R&R fund.
Question about the routing. I mean, it showed, I received a map and I don't know where it is, but it showed, I guess, bypassing station 1. Is that routing of what? That you're going to try to bypass station 1, you gravity down. Never mind.
I think that's the conveyance optimization.
it's on page 44 of your packet is the map.
Okay, we can get to it and we can just skip.
No, we're good. This is where we're going to cover that. So
Okay.
what we're looking to do is currently the force main, if you look on page 44, you can see the map goes underneath the overpass. And so there's no encasing, there's nothing else. It's just an old force main that's there. So we're looking to do away with that force main, that pipe, and then run it along this, I guess the feeder, if you will, of Woodland Parkway.
So the green line is the new, correct, new line, and you're going to bypass the station when you call it's already gravity.
You got it.
Okay, that's all. That's my question.
Are there any other questions?
Any questions?
With that, I will get back to y'all to vote with the director of trustees for next month. Thank
Do we
you.
have to make a decision on this? Do we have a motion to accept their budget and allow me to vote on it at the next trustee meeting?
Also move.
Have a second? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do you have any abstentions? I don't see.
Well, I'm, I just have a question about, the budget, the first page of the budget looked to me like it was, it was wastewater.
We're talking about R and R. The page you're looking at is,
No, please.
is this page you're looking at?
Yeah.
Yes, so what we did for this particular presentation is we only put in the things that changed into the packet. So this is just the wastewater summary page because wastewater's project plan was the only one that changed from the April presentation. So you are correct, it is just wastewater on here, but that's just because that's the only thing that changed.
Well, is this committing to any particular kind of wastewater treatment plant?
No.
Okay.
This is the project plan, so the only thing this is committing to is basically that first FY or 2026 estimate for projects. That's the only thing that we're looking at doing for this year.
Okay. I'll change mine from abstain to yes.
Approved. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 12, discuss and act on water line renewal plan analysis completed by HDR engineers.
This we put on the MUD agendas just to give you an opportunity to discuss the project or anything that you'd like to discuss about the analysis. There were about, I think, 5 directors that put in questions, and those questions have been forwarded on, and then the results have been sent back out to everyone, all 50 directors. So we're looking to put together a little Teams call for those 5 to have the opportunity to go over the questions. And then we'll report it for anybody that wants to view it. That'll be in the next couple weeks.
Are we looking at replacing AC pipe with AC pipe, or are we going to go to, no, you're going to the polypropylene?
It'd likely be HDPE would be my guess.
For the most part.
Is it more durable? I mean, is there an advantage to it? Just easier to install?
All the above.
Everything? Okay.
I don't believe they manufacture AC pipe
That
anymore.
was what I was going to ask. With the nice store manufactures that, you know,
It
but
hasn't, I mean,
been
I
used.
haven't ever used it in my career, 25 years. We've never been in the ground. I'm not saying that it's not used anymore, but
My comment about HDR is I thought they did an excellent presentation. I liked the way they answered the questions that the directors put to them. I mean, they were just like, no nonsense. This is how it is. You know, they seem to know their subjects. I was impressed. So.
I can agree with that. I was very pleased with that meeting. And I'm pleased with this, this spreadsheet that we got on the condition assessment, the answers to MUD directors. Although this actually brings questions to mind that I have, and probably more than we're going to go into here, but aren't we having a meeting the first week of August? We can select, I guess, one meeting, but we can select for many time periods. That's what I was understanding.
the Teams call,
Yeah, I think that's what it's being called.
okay, perhaps.
It's an online conference type setup.
Yes, it's not intended for all of the directors. We weren't intending to do an all MUDs
Oh,
situation.
okay.
So there was only 5 directors that had questions originally, so I was gonna open that up to them. We certainly could identify a representative from MUD 1 to attend if you'd like.
Did you submit those questions?
No, I didn't submit the questions, but their answers brought up some questions. And it actually, everything that I've read and heard so far, I'm predisposed to, I like what they're recommending. But here's the problem. We have almost 1,000 pages worth of analysis, condition assessment. And there's a lot of data in it, and I love that. My problem was, there's not a fast map or a part of data within the 1,000 pages that converts over to their recommendations. And I would like to have a little bit better understanding how the data supports the recommendations. I like the recommendations based on understanding the data. But maybe I'm just too slow. I need a little more instruction on, okay, which piece of data over there is telling me what supports your position vis-a-vis this. This starts, and this did some help, but like I said, once I got to this point, now I have other questions like the question you had. What I read in here sounded like they were going to, they were recommending, on the one hand, they were recommending like changes. AC will be replaced by AC, plastic by plastic, and metal by metal. But on the other hand, during the meeting, it was recommended basically to transition from AC to plastic. And that I understood. But that brought up a different question. In this kind of thing, I don't see anywhere where AC deposits any asbestos into our water. So I'm not sure that the fear of asbestos is documentable. I like the idea of getting rid of the concept of asbestos being an issue. I certainly do like that. But we see that plastic is about $1 million a mile more. And to tell you the truth, I can live with $1 million more if just getting the stigma of asbestos out of it. You see where I'm saying? I got more questions, and I don't know that
Have they done one?
Surely they've done studies on asbestos,
I
right?
mean,
Is the asbestos
About
even
this, been noted as much as it is asbestos.
I understand that.
So you would never
Is it
replace
effective?
asbestos.
It is
I
detectable.
don't even think they make, that's what Chris was saying, is it's not a usable product.
Okay.
Not that I've seen in the last two.
Change in
decades.
technology, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be something,
Okay, then
You could put-
I'm
you could
not
replace
sure
it with
why I got
you
where I
could,
got the,
that would not have been any type of recommendation in that. I didn't see that.
I don't think that's.
okay, I know where I got it. I got it from, I guess, this single sentence. The additional information column contains a summary of the miles and estimate of the cost replacement for each project by material. So for example, the replacement of 0.7 miles of metallic pipe and 2.6 of plastic pipe at a total cost of approximately. I guess what that caused me to do is go in and look at the cost per mile of the different types of material. And that just threw me into a loop. So
I don't think that's in our purview to tell them what to use. I mean, it's like Eric said, the whole concern's been if that pipe breaks, the impact that it has on the use. And that's what the critical thing has been all along. We just spent $1 million, having it studied again, and it's been presented to us. I mean, sooner or later, we're going to have to, how long will it take to put a shovel in the ground? Did you guys say the other night?
It's roughly 18 months. Town center is roughly 18 months. The
Yeah,
rest.
so if we come up with, yes, go ahead and proceed forward with a
and that's it.
design, it's going to be 18 months before, and something that they could break within the next 18 months, according to this
18
study.
months of actual construction. Or-
Design.
No,
that's just on.
that's
To get to the first shovel,
from the first, okay, from
do the first,
Planning.
from today to the first shovel.
is 18 months. Okay.
On town center,
Then town said, and they, or
because
Ed
it's
said it was longer
I'm
for,
sorry.
because it's already designed.
Yeah, depending on eastments and stuff.
There's some redesign required to get it.
So the 18 months is bidding and, selecting contractor and yada, yada.
Redesigning and easement acquisitions.
And construction's roughly 18 months, give or take. So you start today, you're roughly 3 years from having the new water line in and operational on town center.
Okay, well then let me ask this question. When I look at miles versus replacement cost, AC, metallic and plastic, these numbers yield a different cost per mile. So if the replacement is going to be with a singular material, why would the replacement costs be different?
The construction application is different depending on what hose you're changing out. So
Okay.
you can pipe burst some types, you might have to move some types, you might have to dig it up in some cases. So all of those construction procedures will be different.
Eric, do you ever leave pipe in place and just pipe it? You do.
Okay,
You could
like,
leave it, you could fill it with fillable fill, basically solidify and leave it, or you could leave it, or you could remove it.
okay, I'm looking at 120 million. And I'm seeing that based on, okay, 25 miles of, excuse me, 13 miles of AC pipe looks to me to be more, or assuming that we're going all plastic. Somehow I'm getting a number of 132 million, and I'm figuring that there's going to need to be some kind of an adapter between the AC line to a plastic line. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I'm figuring that's going to have an additional cost.
It's a minor cost. It's basically, we'll use a valve to transition from one piece of material to another. We do it all the time. When you put something in, it's either a coupling, a valve, or something to that degree.
Okay. Well, then I probably applied a lot more money to it than it would need to be. So,
Now, how they came up with those cost estimates, though, and I believe it said in the report, is they took the town center line that had already been basically designed
Yeah.
and just used that same footage or same cost and extrapolated it across the board. So their number does have or would need a heavy contingency put onto it.
Yeah, those are $25. So depending on the time frame to get all of the 7 projects completed, the price is going to continue to go up and up and up the longer you wait. So it'll be critical to identify what the cadence is of each of the projects, because that number due to inflation will definitely go up. The quicker you do it, the less it'll be.
Had the town center line then already been bidded?
No, it was at 97%.
Where'd you get the money? I mean, the cost at?
So the consulting engineers reviewed it and they came up, they had previous bids they utilized, and also had contractors come in and look at it and tell them if they were in the ballpark.
Changed is the understanding that Grogan's may be widened in the future. And if it is the existing line, it would be right under the drive lane on the east side of Grogan. So the idea would be that the redesign that I mentioned would be to move that out further than the future proposed lane might be. And that's going to result in needing to get additional easements from property owners along that path. So that's the redesign and easements that we're talking about, is realigning it just further east to get out of the future potential drive path.
Yep.
If I say anything.
No. Yeah, you got it.
grasp on it.
I'm done asking questions.
Do you want to be on that call?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
Please. There are gonna be multiple times. Oh, no, there'll be just the one call.
Mhm.
Okay.
Usually we'll just identify what works the best for the most people and then we'll set it up.
That'd be great. Thanks.
But we can't have more than two max. Otherwise we need to have actual, open meeting. So this was just intended to get the 5 individuals that had questions, an opportunity to talk directly with the engineer. But I'm willing to open it up. I just can't do it more than 2.
Well, I didn't have questions before, but I
You
have
do
a
now.
couple now. So, yeah, I'd love to get. And by the time that happens, that's a couple of weeks away, right?
They still
Yeah.
get that forth.
I may even be able to answer some of these questions by making some calls.
Sure. Yeah, give me a call.
Yeah.
Happy to walk you through it.
Great, thanks, appreciate it.
What is the intent of this meeting? Just to answer those 5 directors that have questions?
Yeah, to go over that list of questions, if there's any further additional questions related to the engineer's response, which has been received now.
Which I think they did a good job here. I do.
I'd ask next time you send out a magnifying glass, so.
Yeah, agreed.
I had to look for one in the house, so. But thank you for the weekend. Does anybody, any other board members have any questions on this? I mean, I thought last month we had made a motion that to close this matter out.
I think there was discussion about proceeding with town center and getting that dusted off and moving forward and getting the easements lined up. So that project could, and then we talked about Esther had requested from the MUDs to get direction by November 1 so that they could update the 10-year project plan related to the placement of those projects on the 10-year project plan. So we will need that information from the MUDs
So we'll need to do that by the October meeting to meet November 1.
or sooner. Right.
Now we need to wait on the Zoom meeting and that being sent out. And then we should be, all MUD should have all the information and the questions answered.
Theoretically.
I'm just saying all this out loud to make sure I am hearing it here.
So then the board of trustees should be able to devote the next meeting to, if we decide to allow them to proceed.
Or town center, yes, and the easements.
But that Zoom meeting will be in August. So everybody having all their answers to questions in the Zoom meeting and all that would be the September meeting. Right?
It'll be early August. It'll be before all meetings, before trustee
Okay.
meetings.
So you'll send out that if they have any additional questions, or how's this gonna work?
We can. And we'll plan to video the team's call as well,
Okay, so it's gonna be video then,
Mhm.
okay.
or record it, I guess.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of how we do the meetings here.
Oh, I don't have any other questions on what was submitted. Does any other board member have a question? Well, Steve, I guess you're operating on your own then. Yeah. So the board doesn't have any questions, you have questions on the board. Okay. Better than that? Okay, moving on to item 13, received update on Spring Creek. Anything?
Engineers filed the report and put it out to the public. So its final report is officially out and documented to the public. And so the next step would be to identify finding some money perhaps. And moving, seeing what the next steps are. Okay, that's about it. All I know at this point.
Any questions? All right, on 14, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir. Not much to report today. Y'all should have received a copy of the legislative update on the Google Drive. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. The electronic version, if you're interested in a particular bill, we've set it up to where it has hyperlinks on it. So if you're interested in a particular bill, you can click on that link, take you to the active text and legislation. So That was a neat addition to this session's summary. You did go and learn more if you'd like. Also reported at the trustee meeting, as you may know, the governor has called a special session, not totally unexpected. The length of the call is pretty expansive. There's 18 items on the call. It's, y'all know, it's a 30-day session. Of course, there's no limit on how many special sessions the governor could call. I think after the last session, he called, I think it's 5.
Oh,
It was 3, 5. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll be tracking some of the called items. There's some generic items regarding emergency communications in flood prone areas, which, you know, it's probably more geared to Kerrville, but it's not limited to that area. Warning systems and preparedness infrastructure for flood prone areas, again, pretty broad. So we'll track that. There's an item on here, legislation reducing the property tax burden on Texans and legislation imposing spending limits on entities authorized to impose property taxes. Definitely be watching that. The item regarding taxpayer funded lobbying is back on the call. That did pass the Senate this session, that did not pass the House. So we'll watch it. Session begins July 21st. Next week. That's all I have in the attorney's report. Happy to answer questions if you have them.
You think the special session is gonna be geared more towards what happened down in Kerrville than anything else?
No, I mean, there's several items on here that are more politically charged in addition to that. So I don't think it's gonna be just that. And hemp is on here. More items regarding abortion related items, trafficking, human trafficking. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for attorney? All right, moving on. General manager's report. Eric?
Just a couple things. I'm going to update you on the building improvements. The fire intrusion and access controls are all been replaced now, so they're all running. Both front doors work now. That hasn't ever been the case since. So
I think ever since I've been here, that door's ever worked. I mean, it's amazing. I opened up both the, wow, look at this.
some final tweaks on some of that that we're still working on, but everything's up and running. I did want to update you on some internal things that we've been working on for the past 6 months. We've been building a career pathing program for our employees that included updating job descriptions and building a performance review program. So we've built it, implemented it. We've had all of our reviews prior to budget setting, and we'll incorporate any of that information into the budget as we move forward. So happy to report that. I wanted to mention that we do continue to do the ditch assessments. We're probably 85% done on all the ditches across the woodlands. So that's, if you recall, assessing the condition of the ditch and the piping, ditch piping in the ditch, siltation, things like that. And that information will be utilized in the capital improvement plan or project plan that will be incorporated into future budgets. So we're still working on that. As far as the budget goes, just wanted to remind everybody on the process. Next month, we'll have a draft WWA budget and MUD budgets for y'all. And then in September, we'll go for approval on that, and then they go in place October 1. So that's moving forward.
You see anything major changes coming up? Any capital improvements or anything? You're gonna have to.
There's gonna be, it's gonna, yes, particularly on the ditch side of things. And we're gonna need to figure out the best way to approach the repairs, either within budgets or over a course of a couple of years, or something significant enough, we may have to do bonds or something like that. But I don't want to be presumptuous just yet, because we're not finished with all the evaluation. What will happen is, once the evaluation's done, we'll put some numbers to it, we'll break it out per MUD, and then we'll kind of look at each MUD budget to say, okay, let's just say if it's $1 million and a district has doesn't have $1 million to spend, it makes sense if there's not immediate concern on a particular issue, like caving in or something really immediate. Could we get away with maybe putting in 200 a year for 5 years and knowing that we'd be done with it in 5 years? That could be an alternative. It could be that, you know, we need to go out for a bond because it's immediate. There's a lot of different ways that we can look at it. There may be reasons why we might want to lump some things together with other MUDs just to get some economies of scale and get the price down on some things. So there's a lot of moving parts to figuring out what fits best with which district, because each of the districts are kind of in different financial shape. So that's more to come on that, on how we skin it. But
And that'll come out on September 1st or?
no, we're trying to get at least the initial part of it put into the draft budget next month. It's just we're running up against the deadline, trying to get every time we'd schedule out a week or so to get some days where we have free to go run the ditches and do the evaluations, it would rain and then or something would come in. So it's taking a little bit longer, but we're getting there. We're getting close. We're getting close. In your packet, there's a invite from Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District on page 84. The Lone Star is going to host the next GMA 14 meeting on September 17th. And then the next day, September 18th, they're having a open to the public informational meeting with MUDs to look at their recent water model and the desired future conditions. So there's a presentation that we're making for that on the 18th. So those are two dates to keep in mind. I know that there's a handful of directors that are interested in attending those meetings. So keep that on our radar. I'll remind everybody in August as well, when we get a little bit closer.
Oh, while you're talking about Lone Star, I attended a meeting last Tuesday. A number of us, led by Paul Cote of Montgomery County MUD number 119, organized a group of interested people from around the area to testify and make a public statement at the Lone Star meeting. And my comments are included in the packet along with takeaway from the discussions that we had. And I think all of us continue to remain concerned about the drill, baby drill attitude of Lone Star. And just to go through the permit hearing, it was just a routine permit hearing before where they had the board meeting, to hear all the requests for increase pumping allowances or permits to drill new wells. And this goes on every single month. And so they're rapidly approaching the defined future conditions that was approved by GMA 14, 2 years ago? Was it 5 years ago? Time goes by so quickly. And, a lot of us are just getting concerned that Lone Star is not doing what it's supposed to do, is to conserve our groundwater resources.
I've asked this before, but why is it not cost effective to run Quantvest and one other, I can't remember, something aquifer, total aquifer or something.
Woodland
I'm
Oaks,
concerned that
yeah.
they use only groundwater. They don't use any surface water. Is it because it's not cost effective to run the pipe from Conroe to wherever they exist?
Groundwater is cheaper.
It is.
Is it?
That's
Well,
how
no,
much.
cheaper, but I mean,
They
yeah,
can
but
make more money on groundwater than they can if they're buying.
we,
surface water.
yeah, but we all pay for that. I mean, basically, don't we share
Those are
that
private
groundwater?
businesses.
Is it theirs?
Those are private businesses.
I know, but why do they get to use exclusively groundwater? I mean, I'm sure Woodlands would prefer to use exclusively groundwater because, like I said, it's cheaper. The bill would be less. But
Well, any of those, I think, that entered into a GRP would be at least eligible to take surface water now. I mean, I'll answer for the GRP, but when the GRP was created, there's 80 members of the GRP, but it wouldn't make sense it's a spider web, lines all over the county. So what you do is, put in bigger lines to the bigger users, and that offsets that reduction in groundwater that was mandated originally. So for instance, you know, if the mandate was 20% or 25%, then they would go, and of the 80 participants, they would find, you know, I think 7 were taking super.
7.
So 7 of them made up as aggregate the reduction that met the mandate at the time.
But that penalizes the larger users. I mean, because you pay more for surface water than you do for groundwater. So I mean, those 7 people are footing the bill for these people that aren't paying at all, right?
They're paying a groundwater fee.
They're paying
to the
groundwater.
GRT.
Yeah, but that's like, what, $1 less,
No, it's like 40 something,
58 cents right now.
58 cents?
Yeah, the contract has a mechanism to basically make it fair between the two.
Okay.
Because if you're not pumping groundwater,
Mhm.
you're saving money, right? Because you don't have as much well rehab, well maintenance and everything else.
Right.
So what they do is, what we do, we take the groundwater fee of $2.67, figure out the amount that generally everybody's saving by not pumping groundwater, being the Woodlands, Conroe, whatever else. Figure out that number and add it on top of the groundwater fee. That's how we get the surface water fee. So that's why I know that's 58 cents, because we take the 267, add 58 cents to it to get 323 or whatever math it works out to be. So the contract tries to equalize the two, so nobody's unfairly paying one way or the other.
So you penalize them. I mean, you tack on fees for the people that use exclusively groundwater as opposed.
No, we add the fees to the people that take surface water to make it equal. Right.
Yeah, that penalizes the 7 though, that are using surface water, right?
Well, the thought is you're saving, right? You're not spending that money to rehab your wells and everything else. So that's why that 58 cents is added on, because if the people that receive surface water got it for the same rate as the people who got the groundwater fee,
Mhm.
the same amount, like the Woodlands would actually be saving money
Mhm.
because you don't have to rehab your wells as often. You don't have as much maintenance, oil changes, all that type of stuff. That's why the fee is added on top of the groundwater fee for those that are receiving surface water.
So the maintenance and rehab on wells is the equivalent of producing a plant that treats the surface water? I mean, they equate. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so part of this goes into a longer, deeper discussion because there's 80 participants, 149 water systems. The people that are pumping just groundwater,
Right.
they are subsidizing and paying some of the operational cost of the actual GRP facility.
Oh, okay.
And so when they're paying 267, that does include operational costs, not just debt service.
And the original theory of the groundwater reduction plan was to economize the use of surface water by sending it to large volume users, where you have distribution facilities like in the Woodlands and Conroe. But companies like Quadvest and Woodland Oaks, is that the other one? They got wells scattered all over the place. So they really don't have water treatment plants. And none of these wells produce enough water to justify sending surface water to connect with that well. You need a much bigger concentration of where water is sourced to be able to send surface water to that place to mix it with groundwater. And and I don't know what the answer to that is, but the time is coming when you're going to have enough density of homes and businesses in Montgomery County to justify building a water treatment plant. The fact that they have a moratorium now for 120 days is to allow organizations like Quadvest to catch up by drilling more wells. If you go down 242 and 105, you'll just see an incredible amount of construction going on. And at some point, you'll be able to justify putting in surface water if people may have the mindset to do so, but right now, there's no mindset to do so. And as far as I know, we can't force companies like Quadvest to take surface water. There's no mechanism to force them to take surface water.
Which is why Eric said they're eligible. If you're a GRP participant, you're eligible to get surface water if you request it. You're going to pay for the pipeline.
Right.
Is there a restriction on how much they can pump out of these new wells? I mean, does the state, regulate that? Way, shape, or form?
A Lone Star does regulate it. You have to apply for a permit to pump, and then you have to report the amount of water you pump. And that's another problem that I believe we're facing, is that you only report it annually. And a lot of people want to get monthly reports on
And
those.
there's no restriction though on how much they can pump. You can't get a permit to, pump for 1,000 gallons or whatever, you drill the well and you pump whatever you want.
No, you have to,
No, you'd have to build it and get it engineered and permitted to a certain amount.
To an amount.
And then that certain amount would be approved through your permit to Lone Star. And then Lone Star, if they added up all their permits, that number is supposed to stay under the what we call the desired future condition, DFC.
Oh, okay.
And so I think the rub politically is, what should that number be?
Yeah.
And when that number was 64,000 acre feet, the aquifer levels showed a potential rebound and decline because the drain on the aquifer system was not as much as it had been. When the mandate went away, that number, I think, is 97,000 acre feet. And what we've seen is the aquifers have started to decline faster as they were prior to groundwater reduction back in 2015.
So Lone Star establishes the permitting. There's no,
Permitting and the DFC through GMA 14. So they would make recommendations through and GMA 14 is a grouping of different county areas that are around Montgomery County that are supposed to look at the overall usage of groundwater across that particular region. So they all kind of meet to discuss what their water demand needs are. And Lone Star is, part of that group, part of GMA 14. So one of the next steps, they've been modeling it for the last year and a half or so, the aquifers, is to identify what the proposed DFCs will be. As I mentioned, it's every 5 years, and we're at that mark where they're going to reset the new DFC. So that's why folks are starting to get a little bit focused on it, because I think we've seen over the last 5 years what 97,000 acre feet looks like in terms of aquifer demand. That was documented by USGS and other studies.
so is there any chance they would reduce that number at DFC? No, yes, maybe.
I think that's the will of many of the folks that see the numbers, but that doesn't seem to be the path that Lone Star would prefer to take.
I think Bob likes it, decreasing it down to about
I mean,
70.
once you build all this construction, like you said, you're gonna suddenly say, hey, no, you can't have any water.
well, people have to have water.
Yeah.
And right now, the only solution to it is to drill. And we've seen well levels drop from 200 to 400 feet in the last 20 years. And in fact, Mud 119 of Montgomery County reported a 40-foot drop in the last 2 months alone, 3 months alone, according to Paul Cody. And, it's alarming what's going on, and we're not taking action to do anything about it. So that's why this ad hoc group has been making a lot of noise and attending the meeting, and it all falls on deaf ears.
Anything else?
Oh, sorry. Where are we? Communications. John? I think that was all.
Before you go on, John, Kim, thank you for giving us an update on all the projects that are going on. I think it's very helpful. The drainage ditches are our responsibility, right?
Yes.
Okay. At the corner of Lake Woodlands and North Panther Creek by Meadow Lake Park there. You know, when Mike was here, he tried to get the county to fix the drainage there. And every time that we get one of our torrential rains like we've been getting, that thing just puddles there and cars come flying through that intersection, then hit that wall of water. And sooner or later, some guy is going to be on a motorcycle and is going to come through there and, you know, it's going to wipe out. I wonder if we could look at that and see if it's our responsibility or the county's responsibility. I think the county started to work on it and then Mike went over to see if he could help. And I think you can imagine the response that the county gave them, that they can take care of it. They don't need help at all. But
Lake Woodlands and North Panther.
yeah, I think that's North Panther. It's by Meadow Lake Park, right at the light there. Yeah. The next rain we get, which probably be this afternoon, just drive by there and you'll see how the water forms there. And there is a drainage outlet there, but it's like the water's here and it's up here is where the drain is. So somehow that water's got to be, you know, rechanneled so it goes into there.
That brings up a point. Anytime y'all are out and about in some of these storms and you see something like that, let us know as soon as we can. Either we can put eyes on it, at least to see if it's something that we need to address or bring to the county attention. Because we can't always see where all the little spots are.
Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning, John.
Page 69 is your communications report. Follow up on that GRP discussion. We will have an article on the GRP coming out of the Woodlands Community Magazine in the September edition. Just explaining what it's about and you know, how the fees are involved. So watch for that. There on page 69, we've also got an article out now in Community Impact on the CWG Community Working Group as part of the infrastructure renewal campaign. There's a QR to that. It's also included, printed in your packet, page 87. You can find that as well. Infrastructure renewal, July 1st, Carollo presented to the community working group on the conditions assessment for wastewater treatment facility 1. It was very well attended, that meeting, and I thought it was very well received by the group. Some good discussions surrounding that. So they're getting more and more educated and involved, that CWG group. Skip to page 71. I wanted to zero in on social media a little bit. So first off, a reminder as always, if you are on social media, and remember we have platforms, our platforms are Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, and X. So if you're on any or all of those and you're seeing our posts, like them. That goes a long ways. And if you can share it, even better. But, you know, just hit that thumbs up or that heart. And that really helps, feeds into the algorithm and helps build our reach. And you can find a link to all of those platforms on the top of our homepage. Top left, you'll see the icons there. So every now and then, if you're not a social media person, still every now and then, you know, I encourage you to click on that, get familiar with what we're putting out there. And then while you're there, you know, just take a second to click a like. We hired a social media specialist, Stephanie Williams, 6 weeks ago. And I brought forward some stats on how that's been performing, how she's been performing in that time. So at the bottom of 71, you've got that bar chart. The blue is Facebook, and then the green is Instagram. I didn't bring forward stats on the other platforms, but for those two, that top bar, that's basically since Stephanie started. And this is number of views, okay, compared to the 6-week period prior to her start. So we saw 150% increase in that 6-week period in views. And a view is basically if you've seen our post. And if it's a reel or, you know, a short video, we're doing a lot more of those now. You have to watch it for 3 seconds and count as a view. So that's a view. Instagram, you know, that's a much newer platform for us. We're still building our audience. So you'll see lower numbers overall, but you'll see a 9x increase in our Instagram views since she started. So I think it's really effective what we've been able to accomplish through her, and really excited by the quality of the product as well. Not just getting it out there more, but I think we've got a better look and feel to it, a more consistent brand. So really encouraging. And just want to know, I did not put a outreach calendar in your packet because we don't have anything on the calendar right now through August. So, but we'll pick back up for sure in the fall.
On page 71, the very bottom line says 418 to 710. Should that be 529 instead of 710?
Yep. That's a typo. I apologize. Yeah, that should be 418 to 529, that bottom one. Good catch. Any questions?
Yeah, let me ask a dumb question. The person who's not a big social media type guy, all people my age. What are we looking for on all this stuff? I mean, what's the end in mind? And is just because someone likes it, or are we getting feedback of some things we might need to do different out there? And do we have any data on that? What impact this is having?
Ultimately, it's about behavior change, right? And so how we define that can come in multiple forms. What's our household, water usage? How's that tracking over time? That's a great metric. Support for infrastructure renewal and how that plays out. Engagement in our customer service programs. Are we seeing an uptick in number of people applying for a WiseGuy visit? So to get there, we first need to have people see our stuff. They need to be familiar with us, who we are, understand what we do, that we're not the township, that we are involved with water supply, wastewater treatment, drainage, how we work with our strategic partners. So getting familiar with us, who we are, what we do, and building trust. The more they see us, the more they hear from us, the good and the bad, the challenges we face, as well as the successes we have, the more they're going to trust us, and rightfully, so that when we come to them and say, we need your, we want you to get involved, like, infrastructure renewal being a major one, right? So be aware, get involved, raise your voice. And when we're putting out factual information, we hope that information is trusted. So familiarity, trust, and education.
And it does align with, all of this came out of the strategic communication plan from 3 years ago. And it's been updated each year. That is monitored through the PEC, Public Education Committee, to continue to oversee the overall strategic communication plan, which had, a number of different kind of global topics that we change out each quarter. And so the content that we push out is in alignment with that as well, just to continue to, and a lot of that came from, if you recall, the surveys that we did with the community originally to identify what they know about the water system, what they know about the MUDs, what they know about WWA, et cetera. So the results of that kind of fed the PEC, which fed the strategic communication plan, which feeds the content that we put out.
How long ago did we do that survey?
Well, we did it 3 years ago, and then we redid it last year.
Okay.
So there's a second one.
I've got a couple of questions. How are people attracted to this site? I see an increasing number, but what makes somebody go to Woodlands Water Weekly? Is there some way you're attracting people to your website?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a complicated answer. There's a lot of factors involved, but we're always pushing back to the website. Not always, but we in most of the stuff we put out, whether it's a newspaper article, an email, a social media post, an ad in community impact, we want folks to avail themselves of more information and push back to the website. And specific to a specific component of the website, that is in line with what they're seeing. So here's a post on lawn care, wise water use in your lawn. Okay, here's where to get more. within the website because we have so much information on the website. So we're always pushing back to the website. And then from the website, we push back out as well. So if you're on the website looking for information on X, Y, and Z topics, oh, well, here's something else that catches the mind. Here's our Facebook feed. Here's our social media icons. Here's our news items of the day that you can find more information on. And like you can go out to those social media platforms from the website as well. So we're pushing to it and pushing back out from it.
Well, you also mentioned something else about liking.
Yeah.
Liking gets you a little bit higher in the
That's right.
search engines and everything else, so.
The
People
second
we
strand is, you have the demographics on these people that liked it. I mean, if they're all
Yes.
15 years old, who cares, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the beauties of social media is there's so much information available on things like that. So it really help us fine tune our messaging.
14-year-olds are on Instagram. They're not on
Yeah.
Facebook.
But
That's
keep
right.
in mind too.
Neither one, I don't really know.
Part of our survey, we identified that people, and we know this, but people get their information in different ways. So you might like the newspaper, but your neighbor might like social media or whatever. And so recognizing that by just focusing on one or two outlets, we're losing a lot of the opportunity to hit other people. So this is also kind of an effort to diversify the same, because by the way, the messaging that hits each of these, it's the same messaging or similar. It's just maybe looks a little bit different for that particular outlet, but it's trying to diversify the overall reach of who we're sending to. So it may be that the social media stuff, it may be hitting a younger crowd, or the community impact may be hitting an older crowd, or vice versa. I don't know where people get their information, but that's another reason why we continue to diversify, to make sure we're hitting as many people as we can, because ultimately we're trying to create transparency to let the community know what we're all doing, what the water and water group do.
And a practical aspect as to why 14-year-old. Well, I can tell you why a 7-year-old. If that 7-year-old or that 14-year-old starts to learn about water and the cost of water, maybe your 40 minutes showers will start to be diminished. That kind of stuff. So,
As a father of a daughter, I can promise you that ain't gonna happen.
it's a little help.
Yeah, and we do have some things that we're working on. I'll speak to you probably in the fall more about it, as far as school-based education as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, item 16, trustees report. It's in your packet, basically. We went over the budget with HRA and then the AC water lines, so. Moving on, we don't need to recess for anything, to reconvene. All right, item 19, discuss any matters of future agenda. All right. Item 20, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Carries. Thank you, everybody.